Welcome everyone to the Reed and Christine Halliday Executive Lecture Series. Our speakers today are Herb and Kim Pumphrey, and they are both owners of Integrity Food Group, located in Lehi, Utah. They started with Wendy's franchises in 2007, and today own and operate 60 Wendy's restaurants located in southern Utah County. Six. So there's a secret announcement. They want to make sure that doesn't get out into the press. No. Okay, sorry, 6. Herb and Kim work together in their businesses and complement one another quite well. Before becoming a Wendy's franchisee, Herb dedicated 26 years to working for Wendy's International in the Midwest and Northeast regions. During those 26 years, he traveled extensively to serve both the company side and the business, as well as the franchise community. His family supported his career as they moved from Ohio to West Virginia and then to Pennsylvania. In 2000, Herb was recognized with the Wendy's Golden Eagle Award. This award is given to the company operator of the year in each region. Herb is also currently serving on the board of directors for the Utah Restaurant Association. Kim worked for The Limited, a women's apparel company based in Columbus, Ohio. This career allowed her to utilize her artistic skills while managing the print and color development for several limited brands. Kim was able to travel to Hong Kong and Taiwan to work with buyers and manufacturers in the industry. In 1990, she took time away from her professional career to raise a family. During that time, she eagerly volunteered for her church, local food pantries, and was elected president of the Parent-Teacher Association or organization. Her creative outlet led to a small business, Designs by Kim, which specialized in wall murals and logo designs. Herb and Kim have 3 children. They both enjoy golfing, camping, and enjoying time with their kids and extended family. The Pumphrey family will travel to Hawaii this June to celebrate their 25th anniversary. To begin with, Kim will start us out, and then we'll have Herb. So please join me in welcoming the Pumpphreys.
Thank you. Hey everybody, is my live and wired up here? Okay, well good, I'm really glad to see all you guys today. I'm a little bit nervous and took some time to prepare so I could stay on track with our time frame and you guys would get some valuable information. In preparing for today's talk, I became to realize that life experiences, I'm not really that good at that yet, that life experiences have always prepared me for the opportunities that have come my way. At the time, I probably didn't realize it, but when I look back, I realize they really did. I've learned what I'm good at, and I've, more importantly, learned what I'm not good at. Take it from me, guys. You got to do what you're good at. And when I say doing what you're good at, I'm not necessarily talking about a specific profession or a particular job. I mean doing the things that relate to your individual skill set and what attributes you have as a person to become successful. I believe that you can learn a lot of these skill sets that you need to be successful, but mostly I think that those come to us naturally. Your life experiences then will help shape those qualities and develop them. For me, the things that I do well and come naturally to me is having a positive attitude. That old adage of the glass is half full instead of half empty. Being resourceful, making the best out of what you have and not dwelling on what you don't have. Be organized. I just can't stand clutter and mess, so I organize everything. If it's sitting still long enough, I will organize it. Having fearless faith. I just naturally believe that things are going to work out. If I do the best that I can, everything's just going to be okay. I'm not afraid to take risks or dig into things that I've never done before. taking advantage of opportunities. With this topic, I encourage you to view opportunities as a hand up instead of a handout. What I mean by a hand up instead of a handout is that we're not owed anything. If we have a view that we're owed something, then we don't take that responsibility to make that work. So we'll be destined to just keep making those same mistakes. But if I look at opportunities as a hand up, then I'm accountable to make the most out of it. It falls on me to make it work. And believe me, when you hear my story, you will notice that I've had a lot of hands up. I'm going to take a moment to share with you some of my childhood life experiences that have shaped who I am and prepared me for what I do today. I was born in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and you might say that I had a challenging childhood. I was the second of 4 girls, and my parents were both alcoholics. In addition to alcoholism, my father also had paranoia, schizophrenia, and suffered with depression. By the time I was 6 years old, my parents got divorced. I'm sure many of you have parents who are divorced and have been down that path as well. We moved a lot because we would eventually get kicked out of the apartments we lived in when my mom was on a drinking binge. I counted once when I was 17 that I had lived in 21 different houses. Junk food and candy, those were luxuries. If I wanted candy, I had to be resourceful. And we lived by the beach, so what I would do is I would go down to the beach, gather up some seashells, paint them, and sell them to my neighbors as ashtrays. When I was in high school, I knew that I needed to work. One of the places I worked was a gas station. In New Jersey, they didn't let people pump their own gas. So every time a car pulled up, I'd bebopped out, pump the gas, but I'd clean their windshield, I'd check their oil, and before I knew it, I was learning how to change tires and clean distributor caps. I may have come home filthy and smelling like gasoline, but I always had a positive attitude. Another hand up came to me in 1981. I was in my junior year in high school, and I had an art teacher named Mrs. Gerard. Somehow she knew about my home situation, and she approached me with a proposition. She told me that one of her previous students was currently the dean at Columbus College of Art and Design. She said that she was going to be retiring that year, and she wanted to know if I would be interested in graduating a year early. I said, sure. I wasn't even sure exactly where Ohio was. But then I found out that Ohio was 800 miles away. But if this meant that I could actually graduate and be the first one in my family to go to college, I was in. I took extra classes in summer school and got all of my requirements so that I could graduate a year early as a junior in high school. Next on my list, I knew I needed to make some money if I was going to take advantage of this opportunity and this hands up. Oh, I'm still good. Okay. I got a better paying job, and I was working at Geno's Kentucky Fried Chicken. I worked from 5 to 1 a.m., the closing shift. Geno's was on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, and I had to take the bus to get there. Getting to work wasn't so bad, but waiting for the bus at 1 o'clock in the morning was a little bit scary. I had to be resourceful again because hanging out around the bus stop were a lot of homeless people. One of their names was Ken, and he was dirty and his clothes were tattered. And he waited for me, it seemed, every night. And one of the benefits by closing Geno's Kentucky Fried Chicken was that I got to bring home the extra chicken at the end of the night. And each night, when I had my bucket of chicken, I would share a few pieces with Ken. Soon, Ken became my protector at the bus stop. And I guess I'll never really know at this point whether Ken really cared about me or if he was more interested in the chicken. But he became my protector, and that sure made those nights feel much safer at the bus stop, even if it was from an unlikely source. Now the time had come to actually head to Ohio. I headed to the bank to get my cash. When I got there to close my account, I found that my mother had already been there and cleared out my account, and she took my cash. I was devastated. I was 17 years old. I had a bus ticket to Ohio, and I had 20 bucks in my pocket. Do I stay, or should I go? How could I pass up this hand up? Fearless faith, and I went. I cried for the 17-hour bus ride. I don't know if I was crying because I knew I was going to miss my sisters, or if I was so mad at my mom, or maybe I was just scared to death. It was probably all those things. And then I arrived in Columbus, Ohio. All I knew was I needed a job. I noticed that within walking distance from my college housing, there was a Wendy's. I had been in fast food before, so I went in, applied, they hired me right on the spot. 3 years I worked there, and during that time, I met Herb. I finished art school, and Herb and I got married in 1986. And my next opportunity came while I was working at a sports bar. One day, I waited on a table with a group of executives from the Limited. I just asked this guy, hey, you guys hiring? He gave me the name of someone in human resources. I started the interview process, and before you knew it, my dream job appeared. Well, almost. It wasn't exactly being a fashion buyer, which was what I was studying at Columbus College of Art and Design. I was hired into the IT department. I was going to be answering phones with all these frantic store managers calling me with broken registers over the phone. But you know what? I didn't care because I was now in the door, the biggest fashion dynasty, and I was allowed to walk through their front door. After being in the help desk for about 2 years, I did land my dream job. I was assistant brand coordinator. For the next 5 years, I was able to make trips to Hong Kong, LA, New York, and Taiwan. I worked with manufacturers and buyers. I developed prints and fabrics, and I did a lot of organizing, which was right up my alley. And during my time at the Limited, Herb and I started to discuss our goals to start a family. We agreed that with both of us having careers, when it was time to have children, one of us would need to stay home. So in 1990, I was heading home from a trip in Hong Kong, and that trip was memorable to me because during that flight, our pilot came on the intercom and said that, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially in international airspace. It is my duty to announce that we have officially started bombing Baghdad, and the first Iraq war had begun. That was pretty stressful. I get off the plane, I walk in the front door. Not that my husband's not the best housekeeper, but the house was particularly tidy that day. I looked around, and I noticed, and said, Herb, what's going on? The house is so nice. He tells me that he did it in preparation for the realtor who was coming tomorrow, because he was considering a promotion with Wendy's, and we would have a chance to relocate to Cleveland, Ohio. So off to Cleveland we went. We decided together that this was the time that I would stay at home and we would start our family. Raising a family, stay-at-home mom, yep. I didn't stay at home much. The kids and I were on the go a lot. We were active in our community, and I continued to use the skills that came naturally to me. I always kept a positive attitude. I was resourceful and started my own art business. I stayed organized with all the activities on the calendar and all of our household duties. I continued to take advantage of opportunities by volunteering at the church and the school. During those opportunities to volunteer, I pushed myself into some leadership roles and learned how to manage people during these projects. Herb's career continued to move forward. And each time that it was a good fit, we picked up and we relocated. And when we relocated, we took with us our fearless faith, our positive attitudes, we stayed organized, and we watched for opportunities. In 2007, when we were living in Philadelphia, we had an exciting opportunity to become Wendy's franchisees. We weren't even sure where the stores would be, but we had fearless faith. Once again, I kept my positive attitude, stay organized, remain resourceful, and had fearless faith that everything was going to be okay. One of the things I decided was that I should probably get a fresh, firsthand experience of fast food again. I'd been out of the workforce for quite a long time. I put myself back in the workforce. I went part-time, and I was the front register operator at our Wendy's at Exton Mall. I worked there from 11 to 2 on Monday through Friday while my kids were in school, and I was voted Employee of the Month. It was pretty exciting. Before we knew it, it was time to move. We packed up, found out the stores were in Utah, and we moved here in 2007. I'm sure that it's not going to surprise you, but today I am immersed in every aspect of our business. Herb does what he's good at, and I do what I'm good at. Currently, I oversee the day-to-day operations, marketing, and human resources. Those duties require organization. Technology, believe it or not, I had to be resourceful. You remember those days at the help desk? They really come in handy because now, anytime any one of my 26 registers in my restaurants break, they call me. I don't have to pay NCR. I am their help desk. Payroll, we have 162 employees this week, and I know every single one of them by name and by face. I take pride in knowing who they are, and I hope that they sense my positive attitude and have pride in the job that they're doing to see that that job may be a hand up to whatever goals they may have. In summation of my talk today, I just wanted to share this thought with you. It's been with me for a while, and it's been with our family. Bloom where you're planted. I've used this thought over the years. I painted a mural of it in my laundry room, and I've adopted this phrase for our family. What does this mean to me? It means to make the best out of every situation and every circumstance that you find yourself in. You can't control what other people say, but you can control how you react to it. I wish all of you guys the best as your life experiences prepare you for your future. And now I would like to introduce my husband, Herb Pumphrey. He's my business partner and husband going on 25 years. Herb.
Oh, that's the business partner part. Well, nice job, Kim. First bit of advice I would have to everybody in the room is marry up. You can always, when you pick your partner, you should be focusing on some of their characteristics, and I certainly have a gem. And just so you don't think that we're all that sophisticated, and just because we have 6 stores and I've been all over the place with Wendy's. I can remember after we first got married, and we were living in a trailer, 14 by 70 trailer, and wanted to get something nice for my wife. And I think it was our first year. And I used to watch a lot of infomercials, and I don't recommend them today because they're pretty much a big waste of time. But I found these wonderful pearls on an infomercial and got them for my wife and wrapped them up. And she opened them up, and I go, "Those are special." She goes, "Oh, they are. They're really nice." I said, "Yeah, those are fox pearls." Not speaking French, I had no idea what fox was, and she told me, because she did take French, that that's faux pearls. That means they're fake. So for me, I was clueless. But at any rate, that's how our things began. Wendy's International, and I've been with them for quite a while, both on the company and the franchise side. Currently today has 6,500 locations. I think it's 6,650 maybe right now. I think the last time I looked. All over the United States and in foreign countries. But they're really not a lot in foreign countries, by the way. It's mostly domestic. 4 out of 5 of those locations are franchised. And what franchising is the ability of a franchisor to leverage somebody else's capital. So they can open up a lot of restaurants, not spend all their capital, and have somebody else do it. But it's a business opportunity for them. There are franchisees, there are actually licensees. And in that, you have a franchise agreement, and it usually runs for, costs you $25,000, and it runs for 25 years. And you have to renew that. So we have a lot of franchisees, and we're one that we call ourselves owners, but we only own it for 25 years. You know, we have to get another agreement. But that allows you to get an established brand with an operating system. For that, you pay royalties and advertising co-op fees. You're going to be required to adhere to approved products. We can't go out there and create Herb and Kim's old-fashioned hamburgers. So we're not allowed to do that, although we would like to sometimes. We have some ideas. There's a process for that. And you also have to adhere to operating standards and food safety, things like that. Now, why Wendy's? Well, for me, I'm going to breeze through this in Reader's Digest version because it's hard to put 30 years into about 3 minutes. But I can remember eating my first Wendy's hamburger in the 7th grade. That was 1972. I know all of you were born then, so you can relate to this. But in 1972, a friend of mine in the 7th grade, we were taking finals. His name was Jeff Wyrick, goes, "There's this new place called Wendy's, and they have the best hamburgers." So I went there, and at that time, I didn't like much on my hamburgers. I got a single cheese plain and fries and Frosties. In fact, that's all they had at that time was Frosties, chili, single, double, triple, and soft drinks. I think did I say fries? Very limited menu, but I'll tell you, it was good. Didn't think much about it. At that particular time, went to college, came back, and in '81, I'm applying for jobs. McDonald's turned me down, and applied at Wendy's. And in 1981, took that job after graduating from college. And it was $13,000 a year. According to my dad, that was good money. Because to him, he says, if you can ever make $1,000 a month, you're doing good, because that's what he made. So that was his perception of good. It was a 6-day work week, 52 hours a week you were scheduled, but you worked more like 60. So when I actually did it one time, I think I made about $1.08 an hour working. And we were only on a 2-person team, and we had to open to close. I would open to close on Saturday, and they would open to close on Sunday or whatever, in order to get a day off. You had to do that. So back then, it was a burn and churn 'em environment. People made fun of me. I had wore the striped shirts and the Gatsby hat we had then. The managers looked just like the crew people. And I was the burger flipper to my friends that were educated. My parents, I think, were a little disappointed because I'd gone to college and coming out to be a burger flipper. But nonetheless, that's what I did. And I didn't see myself as a burger flipper. Even at that time, I saw a bigger possibility to this. There was about 2,000 restaurants then. And when I looked around, there was one female manager and one female supervisor in all of Columbus, Ohio. And today it's about 50-50. But at that time, females were just really kind of beginning to get into the workforce. So I took that job basically until something else better came along. And Wendy's kept me so busy for 30 years, I didn't have time to look for something else. So, but how I managed my career through that process is I didn't look at myself as going to be a manager. Even though that's a very important job, I looked at what else was out there and where I could go. So I began to immediately think about career movement. And how you look at a career is there's a lot of times when you're in a company, there's a line function and a staff function. Line functions are the folks that are day-to-day out interacting with the customer, and staff functions are those people that are supposed to support the line function so they can do their job. But in a bureaucracy, which that becomes in a company, and just like in the federal government, those people in staff functions think the people in line operations work for them. And that ain't the case. The people in the line functions are where they make the money. In fact, staff functions are dispensable. However, they are crucial if you know how to use them. So I did a little bit of both. And when I got to Wendy's in 1987, at the corporate office, I'd worked through a lot of different places in the field, supervisor and whatnot. In 87, got an opportunity to go to the corporate headquarters in a department called Single Unit Franchise Training. And there's when I first started to become and see what all of this was about, because there would be franchisees that were going to be getting their original Wendy's would work, and I would train them and have to go out and then with them to open their very first restaurant. So I got a chance to open restaurants with franchisees in the Bronx, Compton, California, Brenham, Texas, really, quite frankly, all over the United States. And then from there, had to continue to pursue and follow the opportunities. In Cleveland, like we mentioned, we moved to Cleveland in a staff function. So I learned how to work and utilize a staff function as a field training manager out there. I developed training stores, taught classes, as well as developed promotable candidates. In '94, we relocated to West Virginia. I was a franchise area director there, covering 7 states and 112 locations. In '96, I got to stay there and promoted to another position as a director of operations. And we ran the most profitable market in the company in West Virginia. But when I moved to West Virginia, when you think about people making fun of me a burger flipper, nobody wanted to go to West Virginia. And Utah kind of has that kind of stigma attached to it to people. They're wonderful gyms. West Virginia is a wonderful gym. However, there's a stereotype to it. And I can remember getting a going-away party from the Cleveland area folks that they wrapped me up a box with one shoe, and different things like that. But again, you are ridiculed. And then when I got to West Virginia, they told me immediately once they adopted me that actually that's where the toothbrush was invented, in West Virginia. Do you know that? They said because if it had been anywhere else invented, it would be called teeth brush. So anyway, spent my time there in West Virginia. We loved living there. And then in 2001, got a chance to move to Philadelphia as a regional training director, again, from line function to a staff function. And so on and so forth. You've heard that. 2005 is when we started to think about doing a Wendy's franchise. They announced that they were going to sell some stores. So I said I was interested. But that was going to require me, while this process was going on, to get out of the position I was in and took a role as working on breakfast operations. And that required me to get on a plane every day of the week for 2 years. And I flew to Sacramento, or I flew to Kansas City, or I flew to Columbus, or I flew to Austin, or I flew to Raleigh every single week. Sunday night, you get on a plane, you take off, you get back Friday night. That's a brutal gig, let me tell you. 2007, we became Utah franchisees, and again, came out here. She talks about fearless faith, sight unseen, didn't even need to know where the stores were. We'd never been in Utah before. Okay, but we just knew it was going to work. And in order to understand a little bit more about this, I want to talk about Dave Thomas, the founder. Dave passed away a number of years ago. But he was born in 1932, and he was adopted at 6 weeks old. Okay, it's pretty amazing. He never graduated from high school, but later got his GED in 1993. I think he was 60 years old. In his KFC days, I think wasn't there original KFC here in Salt Lake somewhere? They talk about that. Dave worked with Colonel Sanders in the 50s, and he made a name for himself by working with took over a struggling franchise in Columbus, Ohio with 4 restaurants, turned it around, and later on sold it back to Kentucky Fried Chicken, or the parent company, for $1.5 million. And that parlayed his investment into starting up Wendy's. Very first Wendy's was in 1969, Columbus, Ohio. Kim didn't talk about it, but that's where she actually applied, was at the original Wendy's, 257 East Broad Street. Kind of interesting how all this stuff interconnects. Dave actually retired in 1982, and he came back in 1985 and was a spokesman for over 800 commercials. Died in January of 2002. So that's me in 1984 with Dave Thomas. And this was in that time period where he had retired and kind of got out of the business. I look pretty much the same. But Dave, we used to argue or laugh about that being Dave was a cardboard cutout they drew out there. Because when Dave first started to speak, or before he was doing commercials, he was not a sophisticated guy at all. And it would be almost embarrassing, and you would cringe to hear him speak. You feel sorry for him. He was really that bad. But after doing the commercials and doing over 800 of them, and then you'd hear him speak later on, it was just absolutely captivating to hear Dave speak. And I think we had a couple commercials that I wanted to quickly run through. I don't know if some of you have seen these at all or not.
Yes, we know it's a big fluffy
Talk to
bun.
the manager.
It is the manager.
Where's the beef?
He's putting it under the supervisor.
If you ask me, which you didn't, we should call the owner.
At Wendy's, the hamburger we modestly call a single has more beef than the Big Mac or Whopper.
We've got the owner.
Hello? Where's the beef?
Wendy's kind of people never ask, where's the beef?
I don't think there's anybody there. I really don't.
That was in 1984, and those were the heydays, I'll tell you, of the hamburger business. Wish we still had commercials like that.
I'm Dave Thomas. I started Wendy's with one restaurant and a philosophy. Don't have hamburgers sitting around. Serve them hot off the grill. Now, given that, why would anyone go anyplace else?
There ain't no logical reason. For me, hot off the grill is inductively, deductively, and deliciously better.
Go anyplace else? Ain't no reason.
Is it no reason?
Isn't no reason. Ain't no reason.
Wendy's ain't no a reason to go anyplace else.
That was one of the first commercials that Dave did.
Hey, Dave, I heard you used to be a goalie, too.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Where should I play? Play for them. Hi, Dave. Hi.
Oh, I see, Dave. That's how I won the game.
After a day on the ice, nothing tastes better than Wendy's Big Bacon Classic. It's hot and juicy, and with biggie fries and a cold drink, now that's a meal.
Have you won any big games?
Well, we did win that Stanley Cup.
That's nice.
Wendy's Big Bacon Classic, the official hamburger of the NHL.
Those are just samples, and that was the big thing that you saw from Dave when he first started. Newsprint tables, that's, whoa, boy. No hands. But he was very great to see him at a convention. And actually, I was, when I got my Eagle Award with Wendy's, was the last convention Dave was at. Wow. Do I drive now or what? Sorry about that. You want me to get it there? Oh. Whoa, whoa, okay. All right, thank you. Aligning yourself with the company's culture or values, I think, is crucial to not only you finding your way, but it's important that you not only like what you do, but you like the people you're with, and there's some kind of connectivity to it. Every company in business has a culture or a value that they're known for, and a lot of times you'll see that reflected in their brand, but you also should see it in the work environment. And Wendy's has some cultures and values that I think are there because they've been there all along. But as we went from 2,000 restaurants to 6,000, the larger the company gets, the less family it feels like, if you know what I mean. But anyway, Dave's left us with some legacies, and these are things that we didn't really know about. But when we look back on the things that Dave talked about all the time, they were this. Quality is our recipe. It's what's on our logo. Whatever you do, you should have quality food, quality people. Do the right thing. The customer's always right. Try to make it right. Do right by each other. Do right by the customer. Your customer is also the people you work with. So treat everyone with respect. It's important that people feel like they're getting respect. Customers complain. There's nothing worse about getting a customer complaint in terms of having to diffuse someone's anger and passion. But there's no excuse for not treating them with respect. Kim has a great example of a lot of the homeless people when she was very young, that's sitting at that bus stop. A lot of people would have just not even talked to any of those homeless people and would have pretend like they don't even exist, right? She found a way to make it work to her advantage by just treating them with some respect. Give something back. When Dave left the business in '82, semi-retired, he came back in '85 to do commercials. Dave Thomas, the Foundation for Adoption, didn't exist until after he came back the second time. Okay, and giving back is something that every company is responsible for doing. Profit is not a dirty word. It's not. Okay, it takes profit to pay employees. It takes profit to put back into your business. Okay, if you're going to reinvest in your business, you've got to make money. If you're not making money, you can't grow. You can't do anything else. So, learn to leverage these things. Time and money. Okay, and you can start doing this today. You can, no matter where you are, you can learn to leverage time and money. And this is what I mean. From a time standpoint, you need to leverage expertise. It's going to take you too long to be an expert in everything. It'll never happen. Okay, so learn to leverage other people's expertise. Network with each other. Kim and I complement each other greatly. She does what she's good at, like she said, and I do what I'm good at. Don't ask her to add 4 numbers in a row together on a calculator. She won't get the same total 5 times. But she doesn't have to deal with it. All right? But leverage people's expertise. Leverage people. I had a guy one time tell me that, we were working on this big courtesy push for everybody. Get everybody friendly, get everybody to smile. And you know what? I thought, I said, it'd be a lot easier if we would just hire friendly people and teach them how to work. So that's what you want to do. I think hire friendly people, teach them how to work. It's not good enough just to hire people that know what they're doing. If they're not friendly, that's table stakes. And also, from a time standpoint, it's outlets. For us in the business that we're in, we just opened our 6th outlet. Every restaurant's open 12 to 14 hours. So by adding that additional outlet, provided it's profitable, I'm leveraging time. I don't have to be there to physically do it. Okay, so your idea is how do I leverage those things? Money. First off, credit. Watch your credit now. Start now. Don't go into debt now. You got your college education. That's worth going into debt for. Okay? But buying clothes, going on a trip, things like that, don't do it. My credit rating, I was real proud that when we've had to go through a bunch of financing and stuff, my credit rating was 810. And it just totally ticks me off because then they pull up my wife's and hers is 816. I'm going, man, how is hers different than mine? But I'm not sure what they are, but I'm told those are pretty good credit ratings. Live beneath your means. Okay, we lived for 7 years in a 14 by 70 mobile home. I was able to purchase and buy our restaurants and get investments on our own. We had no other business partners to be able to do this. That's another topic. But live beneath your means because you're going to want to save and invest. Okay, if you ever get an opportunity to get into your own business, you got to have money. Okay, your good looks ain't going to cut it. Accumulate wealth, not things. Okay, how do you accumulate wealth? Well, you begin by, believe it or not, 401ks. If a company, has 401ks, you get matching funds. You can save and invest that way. A lot of people like to buy real estate and assets that way. Sometimes that works out for people. Sometimes it don't. Our house appraised when we bought it here, and we live fairly modestly, I think. I drive a Ford Edge. My wife drives a 2007 Ford Edge that we bought when we were here, and my wife still drives a 2001 minivan, over 100,000 miles on it. You don't need to spend money on cars. Okay, you don't just need to spend your money on that. What's happened to real estate? Okay, our house appraised for 3 years ago here in Utah, and everybody thought real estate was going to go. It was $460,000, I think it appraised for. We just refinanced so we could get 4.5%, I think, and appraised for $375 just by sitting there. That's not accumulating wealth, folks. That will take it away from you. So don't fall into the, I'm going to sell real estate and get rich. Happens for some, not most. Cash flow. Cash is king. Wendy's is in a cash business. We don't have accounts receivable. So we're not relying on people paying us 30 days from now. Okay, when people usually stop at our restaurants, they pay cash or credit card, which we get credit for a day later or whatever. But cash flow is very important. Difference between a company and a franchise is a company operates off of a budget, okay, because they're trying to make earnings. Okay, cash flow is important to them, but they've got cash, especially in this business, they have cash coming in. They're more important and concerned about their budget, and they meet a budget of sales, of growth, or whatever it is. That's what drives Wall Street. For a franchisee, I don't care about that. I care about if I got cash flow, okay, cash coming in. It's not that easy to try to explain that, but that's an important component. Where am I at here? And the last thing is, I was told when people made fun of me at the beginning about being a burger flipper, as I started to develop some type of success and stuff with Wendy's, I suddenly went from being made fun of as a burger flipper to you're just lucky. Okay? And people are going to try to do that to you. Anybody that's out there trying to be successful and failing at it and trying to be successful, you're going to have people try to talk you out of it. Okay? And if you do make it, you're not lucky. Okay? You worked at it. Luck is where opportunity and preparation meet. Spend a lifetime getting prepared for the opportunities that you've got. And one last thought I would like to leave you with before we answer a few questions, because I think we're getting towards the end here, is how do you go about getting things done? How do I go about making that happen? And I don't know where this is attributed to, but I saw this one time, and it was buried in a Bible that my grandmother had. And I pulled it out, and it was handwritten on a piece of paper. And she passed away in '86. And I got it, I go, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So here, it goes like this. This is the ability to hear, physically being able to hear, is one thing. To listen to what you hear is another. And I do that a lot. I'm watching TV, I can hear it, but I'm not really listening to it, It's just going on. Then to actually take the time to understand what I'm listening to takes effort and something else quite different. But to ultimately act on what you understand is all that really matters. If you don't ever put your grandiose thoughts, and my dad had all kind of ideas and thoughts and big dreams, but he was always too afraid to act on them. Okay? Or he would act once and not go real well. That's it. My mom's the epitome of fear. I grew up in Archie Bunker's family. My dad, no doubt, was Archie Bunker, and my mom was Edith. And that was a family I grew up in. And they do shape us, but you can get out of those circumstances. Kim's, you heard her background, same thing. You can be your own person. So with that, I'd like to thank you and answer any questions that you might have. Yes? Are all franchisees profitable? No.
Would you like to go into that?
There depends. I mean, if you're a franchisee and it's not like any other business, it's not automatically guaranteed you're going to be profitable. The locations that you may have may not have the right kind of volume that you need to be profitable enough. Your debt structure might not be good enough. Like for right now, you can have a business that's doing real well, and but I've got this debt I got to pay off, and if I could only get the debt paid off, I could be more profitable. So some people are not profitable because they're paying a note, and once they get through 6 or 7 years of paying off this note, then there's more money coming in. So it depends on how people are structured in terms of their leases, their notes, and their debts in order not to be profitable. Does that help? Yeah. Oh, yes.
Is there an advantage of owning multiple franchises versus just one? For example, do they give you a break on the franchise agreement?
You mean more units versus? No. There is an advantage to having multiple units, okay? Because then you're not, like anything else, I'm not at the mercy of one location. For example, when we bought our store, Springville was one of the locations that we bought. And the road construction came through Springville and wiped out 40% of our business. Had I not had other locations, and that was the only location I had, I'd have been stewed, chili meat, as we would say. So it does make sense. You don't get a break. Sometimes I might give people breaks on deals, but on larger purchases, I don't know what those are, though, because I didn't have any of that. But typically, every deal's the same unit by unit. Good question. Yeah?
How much control do you have over what you do with your store and the profit and where it goes?
I have, depends. Once your debt structure and lease structure and stuff is set up and established, you have a lot of control. Wendy's right now does not control your pricing per se, but sometimes you'll see pricing advertising, and that drives every franchisee crazy because my profit structure is not the same as somebody else's profit structure on a line item. And this is a question I think that you said you had, for example, 99 cents. You guys all love the 99-cent menu, right? Well, it's not so good for us, okay, as a franchisee. And this is going to take a little bit of time to get into if you got a second. But as a franchisor, and I don't have any debt, take a look at that 99-cent hamburger, okay, that I'm selling. And that 99-cent has food cost in it, right? It's got labor to produce it. It's got several other items that goes along with it. Well, food cost on a double stack going to be coming up here, for example, is going to be 70%. So if I'm charging 99 cents, 70% of it's going to be taken out in food. Okay, now labor is another 26%. Okay, Wendy's royalties I pay is 4%. The advertising co-op fees and stuff I pay comes out to be another 4%. My rent is another 8.5% of sales. So you see, I'm already above 99 cents in terms of my costs. So in order for a franchisee to control those kinds of things, they got to be able to do something with pricing in order to make things work out. If I'm the franchisor, I don't have to worry so much about that because I'm getting 4% of everything they sell. Okay, so the franchisor has to be careful that they put the franchisee in a position where they can still be profitable. But you do have some latitude to do that in terms of cost controls. Wendy's doesn't dictate or mandate any of that, typically not on pricing, but they strongly suggest the 99-cent menu. And that's okay if the items are profitable, but some of them aren't.
Well, thanks again for the time. Sure.